Hello, it's Kadisha. I'm back with another video. I heard something that just saddened me so much that I'm just like, come on, ladies, come on, we have to do better. And I know we want to play, and not necessarily play victim, but we want to say, yeah, there's two sides or there's two people, it takes two to tango. Of course, I'm not trying to give anybody an out on them not doing right. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But it's one thing when we're not aware, and it's another thing when we're aware of what's going on. I was having a conversation with someone, and they was just telling me how they're just straight up truthful with women, and they tell them, hey, this is how it is, and basically telling them, I have a lady, but we can be friends, we can hang out, we can do whatever. And they're like, the ladies are okay with that. And I'm just like, hold on. And it wasn't even just that. Like, another, because it was a man I was talking to, and then it was a lady. We were all having a conversation, and I was just like, the lady was like, yeah, that's honest. And I'm like, I dig honesty. I'm not trying to act like, hey, you're not being honest, but I'm just saying, as a woman, I cannot see myself being okay with being with someone who tells me that they have a lady. And I'm just thinking, where do we have to be in our lives to be okay with that? I'm not saying that women don't desire to be in a relationship. We know that is kind of when you're growing up as a child, you're playing house and you're being the mom and all that stuff. And that's something that we crave I say as babies, but as really young children. And so I understand the desire for wanting a family, for wanting, a husband. I understand that. But we cannot become desperate, because then we get in those situations where it's like sharing a man, and it's no. If you have a desire, I believe out of the billions of people in the world, even if it's not in your state, that the Lord will allow you to have a man to yourself. But it's up to us to not become desperate in a season of singleness, and realize, like, in this singleness time, it's for me to prepare. It's for me to work on me, because of course I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to come to a relationship with things that I need to work on, but it's things in my singleness that I need to work on. But if I'm up here okaying a man who has a lady, I'm okaying being in a relationship with him, that is a sad state that I'm in, and I need to get at the feet of Jesus and say, Lord, help me in this, because it's okay to desire wanting a family. That's not a bad thing. However, when we go into a place that, and most of the time we say break up a happy home, and people will say, well, they must want happy to begin with because he wouldn't have stepped out. And it's just like, okay, maybe it's problems, but it's going to be problems even in your family. In your family it's going to be problems. But does that mean it's okay for someone else to say, well, since they're not happy, it's okay for me to come in? And no, it's not okay. So we have to think of it from that as a woman. And of course, I'll let the man talk to the man, because they know that that's not right too. But I'm just speaking as a woman. We have to have enough dignity to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to settle for less than what God has for me, because like I said, if you truly desire marriage, the Lord has someone for you, and you will not have to share him with anybody else. So I just want us to get reminded of that, because we are in a day and age where everything is kind of like okay in people's eyes, and it's not okay. Deep down, families are getting hurt. Children are growing up in this. It's terrible. And so we don't want to make that the norm where we're growing up in dysfunction. So we have to make sure that we're cutting out things that does not align to the desires that what we want, and that's wanting a family. And so you wouldn't want to share your husband with anyone else. So make sure that you're not taking, and not even necessarily a husband, someone who's in a relationship, you don't even want to play with that. You want to say, no, if you're with someone, or does someone think that were you, we always make that joke as well. It's like, no, you need to handle that and let me continue on to the path, because I want someone for me, because I'm going to be there for them. So yeah, that's my little rant today. But I was so saddened when I was listening to people talk, and I'm like, no, I am not in a bubble. Am I in a bubble? Am I under a rock? Because that is not what we're living in today. That could not be the case, but it is. And sad to say, I'm like, it's about to stop here. I gotta say something. So thank you so much for watching. Like I always say, sa cambio que quieres ver en otros. Until next time. Bye.